Hey everybody, good morning. So a good friend of mine, he brought me his 98 Nissan Maxima, and it's got some type of an oil leak, so wants me to get it up on the lift and take a look at it and see what we can find out. He said he thinks it's coming from somewhere around the oil filter, but let's get it in the air and see what we find. Alright, so as you can see, we definitely got some oil under here. Been looking around a little bit with the flashlight. And if I get the camera just right here and I get the flashlight just right, it looks like it might be coming off of the valve cover. Pretty sure. You can see right up in there, I think. See if I can get the light on it and get the camera. This is not easy. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I don't really know that that's going to show up. But anyways, way up there, you can see the valve cover, and you can see the gasket, and it's got a little bit of oil drizzling out of it, so looks like that's the problem. And then it's just running down on top of the pump here, on top of the power steering pump, and just making its way all the way down. So gonna go ahead and put it back down, and we'll start taking that valve cover off and everything else that needs to come off to get it off and get it changed out. So let's get back on the top side and start taking things apart. Alright, since this is a V6, it's got a front valve cover, it's a sideways sitting motor, and it's got a back valve cover which is underneath all of this stuff. So what we're going to have to do is take the intake plenum off here, and all the wiring will have to be disconnected as far as all the vacuum hoses and all that stuff. And then we should be able to get at the valve cover, which once we get this stuff off should basically look like this side, nice and accessible. So let me start getting all that stuff off and get everything marked, and I'll come back when I get a little bit of progress. Alright, so it's another day here on this Maxima. Just called it quits the other day, so going to get started on it now. Wanted to mention the first thing obviously we're going to do when we do disconnecting of any type of electrical is disconnect the battery first. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start taking that plenum off. So I'll come back with you in a little bit when I get some work done. Alright, so there we are. We got the intake plenum off. Come around over here, as you can see. Finally got access to that back valve cover here. So this is where the leak was, on this back corner over here, or it seems to be. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect a few more things, get this valve cover off, and we'll go ahead and start changing out that gasket. Taking that plenum off, there are a few things that are a little tricky to get to. There's a couple of bolts back here that go to the intake manifold, or to the plenum I should say, that are little support brackets, so they're a little tricky to get to. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. And oh, this little guy right here, this little hose, is tricky to get off, and it's going to be even trickier to get back on. So, but other than that, I mean, it's pretty basic, pretty easy. Like I said, there were a few things that were a little tough, but other than that, not too bad. I'm not going to say it was easy, but it's not the worst thing I've ever done. So, like I said, let me get that valve cover off, and I'll get that gasket changed, and then we can start putting it back together. Alright, so just wanted to show you guys this. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right there we got oil, and that's where I was thinking it was leaking from, that back corner. So it's good to actually see that. I get some confirmation that that's actually where it was coming out of. As you can see, the other corner there looks pretty good. So but yeah, so while we're at it, I pulled out this first spark plug here. I'll go ahead and change out the other two while I got the valve cover off and I can get to it, or the plenum. Generally it's got a cover on it like this that you take off, and then you can get to the spark plugs underneath, but that one I just pulled the whole valve cover and everything all in one shot. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and change the other spark plugs, get that done, get that new gasket on the valve cover, put it back, and start reassembling. So we'll see you in just a bit. Just a little something I wanted to add. Anytime I take a gasket off and I'm going to replace it, I'll put a little bit of carb cleaner on a rag and just kind of wipe all the way around. Get any kind of oily residue off where the gasket is actually going to sit, and I'll do the same thing on the valve cover before I set that new gasket on. That way, if you got an oily residue, the oil is going to try to seep right back out there. If you get everything clean and dry and without that residue, then you actually get a good seal on your gasket. So, like I said, just a little something I wanted to throw in there. I'm sure everybody probably, most of you know that, but if not, just a little extra info. Never hurts. Alright, so we got the valve cover back on. There was a little bit of a problem with the gasket, so we had to take the other one back and get a new one, and it took a few days. So anyways, back out here on it, and like I said, the valve cover's on. So I'm going to start putting it back together, get the plenium back on, hook up all the vacuum lines, all that good stuff. And I'll come back with you in just a little bit. Alright, so we got the intake manifold back on. As you can see here, I got the cover off so that we can do the front spark plugs as well. We'll go ahead and take these coil packs off next, and then we can get to the spark plugs. We'll go ahead and change those and put it back together. And I do have to top off the coolant. Other than that, I think we're pretty much finished. So let me get those plugs changed and I'll come back when I finish up. Alright, got the valve cover back on, so it looks like that will finish it up for this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.